And it is a wonderful evening to everyone here joining us for the Track Stars TS2 Touring Cars for round 5 for this New York Sprint. We just had our TS3 boys lay down the rubber on their Bridgestone tyres. Now it's time for the main series for the main event, rather, not the main series, the main event, the Track Stars TS2 Touring Cars, to lay down their rubber, put on some speed, put on a show, because these cars are smaller, they're faster, got a lot more downforce, can carry the cars a lot faster. You can carry the car a lot faster through the corners, so we'll be seeing some very fast lap times here tonight amongst the field. Yet again, it is myself, Nick Patasso, in the commentary box alone, all by myself, but hey, you know, that's okay. You guys in the grandstand and paddock are here to cheer me up and here to give me some support, and I'll be looking through and reading through your comments as much as I can, as much as I can. If there is a lot of there's a lot of banter and if there's a lot of communication, then I might be able to read some of your words of wisdom that I might be able to share on the stream. So again, where are we? We are at Watkins Glen. It is a short layout once again, this 3.9 kilometre circuit. Just like we saw in the TS3 touring cars, it is going to be fast, it is going to be high adrenaline, and it's going to be all about keeping that car on the track and basically just trying to keep a gap amongst your competitors, because we've got ourselves a very, very close championship battle on our hands. So far, we have Federico Crestale well ahead, just ahead rather, of his competitor in LJ Sandwith, who has actually transferred teams. He's actually now aligned himself with a team. He was a privateer running the former It's Racing Esports Honda NSX, but he's now taken that car and he's taken all of his decals off to join FR Racing. Yes, just like we saw in TS3, FR are recruiting, and they are recruiting big. And Sandwith is a huge name amongst their ranks in the TS2 touring car field. So it's going to be a very close battle between those two in the championship. And on track tonight, HBR in Cage Lamb is in third place. Aussie Taylor in fourth, and then we have Chris Burke in fifth place amongst the championship arrivals. So it's going to be close between Crestale and Sandwith in this battle, but we've got some brand new contenders that have to come through the TS2 pre-qualifying stages. And we are very excited to see who can come up on pole position. As we go to track now, it is green flag for qualifying here. 10-minute session for our drivers tonight. As we can see, we will go through the field and we will see some familiar faces. And we'll also see some brand new faces here amongst the TS2 ranks. So far, we are on board with one of our brand new drivers. It is representing Black Flag Racing. So just like we saw in TS3, Black Flag Racing have a huge presence in TS3. Now they've brought themselves into TS2 touring cars, where we have Loxay in Stormfly, the Dutchman, another flying Dutchman in car 46. Obviously supporting his favourite numbers, we can see there by his gaming tag VR46, obviously in reference to his reference of the multiple world champion, MotoGP champion in Valentino Rossi, sporting the 46 just like he did on his motorbike. And now we have Loxy in sporting 46 on his Nissan GTR. Another new name we have is Churchill, so another driver for FR Racing. So it looks like FR Racing have got themselves quite a few cars here tonight. So we've seen a Honda NSX from Sandwith, and now we are seeing Nissan GTRs with the FR Racing boys. So the Nissan GTR and TS3 taking out a victory for FR Racing. Will we see an FR Racing take out victory in their Nissan GTRs, the 2016 model version of the Nissan GTRs? We'll find out very soon, as Churchill's on his first flying lap. Next up, we have A. Waters, so Slipstream. So he was one of the pioneers and one of the main leaders in Black Flag Racing. He's brought his presence here to Track Stars Racing Series, and I know the man very well. He's a very fast driver, and I won't be surprised if he puts on a clinic tonight and he puts on a great performance in qualifying and especially throughout the race. His qualifying pace is very strong, but it's all in the race, as we can have plenty of drivers coming through tonight who could potentially gain main series eligibility in this round 5 of the New York Sprint Track Stars TS2 touring cars. Obviously, another name that's come through the pre-qualifying is Breeder. We know him very well from the Formula Track Stars and his first round at Road Atlanta in the Formula 2, where he put on a very good performance there. Unfortunately, got caught up on the lap 1, turn 1 mistake that he did at Road Atlanta, and that dropped him well down the order there. But it was enough for him to gain eligibility to race for Robo Sport Racing in the Formula Track Stars as he negotiates the chicane. Oh, contact between a couple of drivers there, between Mackenzie and Breeder. Unfortunately, again, and more contact with a few more drivers. He's just trying to get out of the way and try not to be a burden to a couple of drivers. So here's another pre-qualifier that's come through. Another driver that's come through as well, we haven't seen for a little while actually, is Green for CP Motorsports. So another driver we haven't seen, car 232. Back amongst the ranks here in TS2 touring cars. Put some great performances in the early stages of the year, where he got himself up into P4 at Deep Forest Raceway for round 1. Now we've sorely missed his presence a little while, but now it's great to see Green back amongst the field in the Track Stars TS2 touring cars. So there are 5 pre-qualifiers. Let's look at our main protagonists in the championship. We have Sandwith, who's currently sitting second in the championship, is sitting 4th place at the moment with a 1 minute 1.3. Unfortunately, just picked up a half-second penalty there in 4th place. And then we have to look all the way down just outside the top 10 for Crestdale, but he's about to come through to set a lap. Whether it's going to be representative lap time or it's another banker lap for him, we'll find out very soon. It's a 1 minute 1.8, and the lap times are a lot closer than what we saw last time out in the touring cars, TS3 touring cars. That we got first to 8th, between first and 8th is 6:10.662 of a second. So it's very close indeed. As we look down the order there, we can see Mackenzie is the first man outside of that 1 second barrier between himself and the man in pole position, which is currently led by Waters in first place. We have Hall in 13th place for FR Racing as well. It's another team swap that he's done for himself to align himself with FR Racing again. And then we have Doc for WRT Motorsports, a well-respected team in the main series in 2023. WRT Motorsports making their name present as well amongst the TS2 touring cars, with Doc currently in last place and hasn't really set a representative lap time yet. Luminous is the sole KPL driver, Kiwi pit lane driver. So this is actually an interesting news here. We were supposed to have T. Mason join us in car 195 after he won the Green Hell 125 in split 2. So as we have here at Track Stars Racing Series, our top 10 drivers that are eligible for split 1 are your top 5 in the championship. The top 4 best competitors outside of the top 5 in the championship, and the 10th place goes to the split 2 winner. The split 2 winner went to Mason, with Mason's unfortunate withdrawal from this race. He's actually promoted his teammate in Van Vooveren to move up into the main series of TS2, and it's great to see. It's actually probably, I think it's his first time, if I'm correct, he can correct me if I'm wrong, in the TS2 top split. So that's a great occasion for him and a great achievement for Kiwi Pit Lane to have one of their cars in top split. So it's about almost 4.5 minutes to go until the end of the session. We still have Waters leading the way in first place for Black Flag Racing. Then we have High Pre Roses in Jahan in car 347, so far the fastest Lexus, in second place for WTC Racing. As you can see there, the first driver underneath the 1 minute 1 mark is Waters. So that Nissan GTR working wonders for the man in car 222, doing himself a great job. Unfortunately, just picked up a half-second penalty there on the exit of turn 1, but that is a great lap there for Waters to get himself underneath that 61-second barrier and into the 60-second time frame. Then we have in third place Chris Burke, so he's doing a very good job as well. So Chris Burke is doing very nicely here. He's got himself a 1 minute 1 flat, so he's not far off the pace as well. So the man that's sitting in 5th in the championship, if he has a great round tonight, he might be able to propel himself a couple of positions at the end of the night. So that'll be very good for Burke to put his authority back into this TS2 championship. Green in 4th place for CP Motorsports, doing very nicely there, 4/10 down on Waters' lap time. Then we have Sam with the first of the Honda drivers in 5th place for FR Racing. He's coming through his on and out lap, so he's going to be able to have a couple more laps before he gets himself up into a very solid position inside that top 5. Breeder's come through into 6th place. It looks like he's coming into the pit lane for a change of tyres. So Breeder for RoboSport in 6th in car 69. Then we have Churchill, one of the debutantes for TS2 touring cars, in 7th place. So very nicely done there and moving out of the way of his teammate in Sandwich in 5th. Then we have Loxley in 8th place, doing a very nice job there, 6/10 behind his teammate, so he's got a little bit more time to find, does Loxley, but it won't be too long before he gets himself up towards his teammate. Just probably needs a clean couple of laps to get himself right up the pecking order. Rounding out the top 10 is Crestdale in 10th place, 1 minute 1.5, so still a fair bit behind the fastest Lexus, which has been set by Roses with a 1 minute 1 flat. So 1 minute 1 flat versus a 1 minute 1.5, so still got a bit of time to find at least half a second to try and be anywhere near Roses, but looks like he's really struggling with this car tonight. He is the championship leader, mind you, in car 23, so probably not having the best time in that car at the moment, but it looks like he's just backed out of that lap and he's going to give it one more crack for one more lap. Then we have Aussie Taylor for WTC Racing, teammate to Jahan in 2nd place. It looks like he's going quite quick there. He's 2/10 personal best there in 11, so this will definitely propel him up the order if he's able to put this last corner through, out of the final corner onto the main straight. Will this propel him up inside the top 5? It looks like no, it doesn't. So he's lost a lot of time in that last sector. So very interesting how much time you can lose in the last sector. Van Vuberen in 12th, Mackenzie 13th with a 1.5 second penalty. So that's his qualifying session over. Hall in 14th and Doc in 15th place, 1.4 behind Waters. But I did see there Roses in Jahan has actually gone, he's the first Lexus to get underneath that 1 minute 1 barrier. So that's a very good lap time there by Jahan in car 346, the first of the Lexus to challenge the Nissan driver. Oh, he's just clipped the barrier there because he clipped the grass going into the entry of the inner loop there. So he's done. That's his qualifying session over. We have Chris come through with a clutch lap with a 1 minute flat 0.991. So 3 drivers underneath the 61-second time barrier. We had Green in 3rd place, who didn't make the cut, unfortunately. Down in 4th place. Wow. That is actually some very good qualifying lap times by all of the drivers here tonight. And what we're seeing here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we're seeing quite a fair bit of internationals joining us here tonight. So inside the top 8, we have 5 internationals occupying the top 8 on the front row, on the first front row. So that's actually really amazing to see such an international affair here at Track Stars Racing Series, and we hopefully love to keep them within the series, and that way we can see some great racing amongst our competitors. But as we go through the results here, it is Waters on pole position with a 1 minute flat 0.9. Then 2nd place, it is Roses with a 1 minute flat 0.978. And right behind there is Chris Burke, 3rd place. He's done a very good job just creeping in underneath that 61-second barrier. Then Green, Sam with Land with a hot lap towards the end there. Loxley and Breeder inside the top 8. Then we have Churchill, Crestdale, Taylor, Van Vuveren, Mackenzie, Hall, and Doc rounding up the rear of the field. And we are about to go racing for race 1 here of the Track Stars TS2 touring cars here at Watkins Glen. It is going to be a fast affair racing. It is 15 laps around this 3.9 kilometer circuit. We are excited. I hope you guys at home are excited to watch this coverage. And we are very excited to see who can win race 1 here at Watkins Glen. So it is going to be a Nissan versus Lexus duel up towards the front. It is going to be Waters versus Roses as we see those lights going on. Black Flag Racing versus WTC Racing. It is going to be 5 lights and we are underway. Green Flag Racing, and we can see there Jahan's got a great start, but he's just picked up a lot of wheel spin. Going into the first corner they go. It's going to be, there's a bit of a punt there between Burke and Waters there. So Waters losing a bit of momentum then. That's giving Roses the opportunity to go side by side with him as they go side by side up towards the hill and onto the back straight for the first time. We're seeing a little bit of carnage towards the back there as drivers are starting to sort themselves out a little bit. Lamb has gone up into 6th place. Green has dropped down the order from 4th place. So we can see a cluster of cars trying to go through the chicane. We can see there Crestdale's come through with the biggest win up in 7th place. He's getting a little bit shoved there by Lamb, but he's up into P6 there. That's a crucial move there. As we saw in the background there, Churchill has gone facing the wrong way around. Car 48 for FR Racing. I just caught it in the foreground, on the background rather, of a car spinning around on the exit of the inner loop there. So that's Neon's race over and out unless Churchill can find some sort of way to claw up to the back of this field. But this pack is very tight here and it's being led by Jahan in 1st place, Waters 2nd, Burke 3rd, and Waters' teammate in Loxley in 4th place. So that's a very good start for the man that started in P7. So really good opening lap there by Loxley in 4th. Then we have Sandwith and Crestdale, the 2 protagonists in this championship, with HBR in Lamb in 7th place. So the top 3 in the championship, 5th, 6th and 7th, but not being able to close up amongst these top 4 so far. The winner so far looks to be Burke in 3rd place amongst the championship contenders. So he's 3rd, and he's right underneath the rear wing of the Black Flag Racer driver in car 222. But as well, Waters is pouncing on Jahan in that Lexus RCF. Lexus not the favourite car here around Watkins Glen, with all of its fast flowing corners. You get a lot of understeer in this model spec Lexus RCF, but he's doing a fantastic job and he's set through the fastest lap there, 1 minute 1 flat, just like he did in his qualifying. His first flying lap was very strong in qualifying, and he's put himself in a really good position with a 1 minute 1 flat, and he's just picked up a half-second penalty. I just saw him run wide there, but I thought it was just within the limits there. Unfortunately for Jahan, that is not what he wanted in car 346. And Jahan's really going to have to try and get through this pack, try and get through this stage of the race and try and not lose ground. But unfortunately, you can see there Waters has closed up on him massively. So Jahan's going to lose 1st place if Waters can go around the outside. Will he be able to hold it through? Can Jahan find anything into the turn 7? No, he doesn't. Waters retakes the lead on lap 3 of 15. Burke right behind in 3rd place. Then we can see right down the order, Loxley in 3rd place. We can see Sandwith 4th, Crestdale 6th, Sandwith in 5th, Crestdale 6th, and then Green in 7th place, starting from 4th. So he's lost a lot of ground on that opening lap. So P7, but right underneath that rear wing of the Lexus driver in Crestdale, the championship leader. Mind I add, for all of our viewers tuning into the broadcast, Crestdale is leading the championship, but he's coming all sorts of under pressure from the CP Motorsports driver as he's going to look towards the inside. Who's going to be brave? Will he be brave enough to make the move? He looks like he's far up enough to go through the inner loop on lap 4, and he does. Green makes a very lovely move there. Crestdale gave him the room, gave him the space. Respect given between the drivers, and that's Green up into 6th place. Breeder drops down into 8th place, just where he started in the opening over the opening sequence of the race. HBR in Lamb has actually lost a few positions here, so he's down in 9th place, so really lost out on that opening lap. Aussie Taylor in the top 10. We have Hall in 11th for FR Racing, Van Booveren in 12th, Mackenzie 13th, Doc 14th, and unfortunately for Churchill on that lap 1 incident at the bus stop is down in 15th place, 6.9 behind Doc, 19 seconds behind Waters in 15th place. But we can see there Waters has really stretched his legs there. We see Burke has actually made a move on Roses to take P2. He's going defensive to try not let the Lexus driver through. He's put the car on the inside, but back onto the racing line he goes. Burke into P2. We can see Jahan is really trying to put pressure on Burke as they go through this long right-hander for the 5th time and asking. We can see there, so you can see the dirty air effect there affecting Jahan in 3rd place, really struggling to get that car hooked around the corner just that little bit. But we can see there Roses in 13th, and I could just see there I've just seen a name come down the order there. That is actually Stormfly. So in Loxy, he's down in 13th place. So it must have been a huge mistake coming through the inner loop through the bus stop. That was, wow, yeah, 22 seconds. As we can see, another yellow flag ahead. Someone's gone around. That is Van Booveren, unfortunately for the Kiwi pit lane driver, does the right thing to move out of the way and off the racing line. That is Churchill back up into 13th place. So just as he thought his race was over, he's back up into 13th place, is Churchill. But that is a big, costly mistake there for Fly. For Loxy in 15th place, 1 minute 23. So costly mistake for the Black Flag racing driver. With one driver in last place, his main driver in Waters in 1st place, currently leading this pack on lap 6 of 13. Burke is doing a fantastic job holding on to P2 and really putting the fight for Robbo Sport Racing for a great result here tonight. Unfortunately, with his teammate in Mitch Curry not being available to race tonight, he's got all of the honours to try and uphold the Robbo Sport Racing glory and get that car 486 onto the podium for the first time here in Track Stars TS2 touring cars. And we just saw right behind, we saw Jahan with a half-second penalty again, and we can see there Sandwith has got a half-second penalty as well. So this could definitely favour Green. He's not far behind there. He's 1.5 behind Jahan in 3rd place. Is Green as they come through the bus stop for the 7th time around here for 15 more laps around this circuit. They've just gone half race distance there. Oh, Sandwith all out of shape there on the exit of the bus stop. It's a really fast part of the track there that the drivers have to really negotiate and really try and get themselves through and not sacrifice speed. Unfortunately, it just cost Sandwith in that Honda, the only MR car around this field, and so far the fastest Honda inside that top 5, and he's doing a fantastic job. I don't know, whatever the It's Racing Esports team managed to put in that Honda throughout all of its touring car series in 2021 and 2022, it's doing wonders for Sandwith in 5th place. Crestdale right behind in 6th place, and right behind him is Lamb, so he's actually made up a few positions as well, back up into P7. Is Lamb is now going to put some pressure on Crestdale in 6th place. Aussie Taylor holding on to P8. So we can say our top 5 in the championship well inside the top 8, but very well spread out, and is actually being led by none other than Chris Burke. And he's actually closed the gap a little bit to Waters. So Burke is really closing up a little bit. He's another driver that's gone into the 1 minute flats there, 1 minute flat 0.9. With Green setting a fastest lap there with a 1 minute flat 0.94. This is going to be some very close racing and a very close finish if Chris can get anywhere close to Waters in 1st place. We have Roses in 3rd, we have Green in 4th, Sandwith in 5th, and Crestdale with a 1.5 second penalty. So that's going to be a costly penalty when it gets to the penalty burn. So 1.5 seconds will feel like 3 seconds with the way the car slows itself down and bogs down. So he'll definitely lose the position to Lamb and Aussie Taylor. I think he might be safe to keep P8 though, as we can see, Hall has got himself a half-second penalty as well. Breeder right behind in 10th, Mackenzie 11th. Then we have Churchill up into 12th place after he thought his race was over. That's what happens, ladies and gentlemen. You think your race is over, you never give up until it's the checkered flag. And that's what Churchill's done and got himself back up into P12 in car 48. Van Vuveren in 13th. Then we have Loxy in 14th, trying to catch up and trying to claw his way back through the field. But it's going to be too little too late to get himself inside that top 10 unless mistakes are made. And Doc right in 15th place, 33 seconds behind Waters in first. Car 222 for Black Flag Racing. They debut race here in Track Stars TS2, putting on an absolute clinic. 2.4 clear of the veteran in Chris Burke in second place, doing a really nice job to try and get that Black Flag Racing name up towards the pecking order here in Track Stars TS2, with Slipstream, also known as Waters, leading the way on at the end of lap 10 to about to start lap 11. With 4 laps to go, ladies and gentlemen, we've got ourselves a nail-biter towards the end of this race. 5 laps to go, rather. We've got ourselves a nail-biter. We can see there, Burke is just closing the gap ever so slightly. He's just finding a few little tenths here and there, a few hundreds, but I just don't think it's going to be enough unless Slipstream really makes a mistake through the bus stop and he picks himself up a really big penalty, just like we saw with Crestdale, that 1.5 second penalty. Take too much, especially on the right-hander there. You can see there he's being very conservative in approaching that chicane there. He knows that Burke is closing up on him, and he knows that he doesn't need to afford many mistakes at this late stage of the race. So Waters in first, Burke in second. We still have Jahan in third place, still keeping clear of Green. And there we go. Green's picked himself up a 1.5 second penalty going through the bus stop too fast, unfortunately. So Green will have to serve that next time by. I think it's going to be, the gap is just going to be enough ahead of Sandwith. Sandwith will close up pretty quickly, but whether he will close up quick enough to try and take P4 away from Green, we'll find out very soon, as Sandwith still holds on to P5 with his personal best of a 1 minute 1.5, so still not into the 1 minute flats is Sandwith, or the newest driver to FR Racing. Lamb in 6th, Taylor in 7th, and Crestdale with that gruesome penalty that he had to serve a couple of laps ago in 8th place, 15.2 seconds behind Waters. Mackenzie's moved up a couple of positions here. He's up into P9, so that's a very good recovery drive there. Mackenzie to be up inside the top 10 after qualifying, I believe was in 13th place for Mackenzie, so he's done a very good job in car 17 to get his car inside the top 10. Breeder in 10th place rounds up the last position inside that top 10. Then we have Churchill up into 11th place, so this could be not over. It's definitely not over yet for Neon. He's not too far behind, 2.2 behind Breeder. If he can get himself a top 10, I think that'll be a very satisfying result after the lap 1 spin incident that he had. Hall in 12th place after serving a penalty not long ago. Then we have Loxy in 13th place, making up a few positions, trying to get himself up as high as he can, so that way he can try and get himself a little bit further up the grid for a better race 2 tonight. Van Vuveren in 14th, and Doc rounding up the 15th position. So it's quite well spread out amongst the field here tonight. It's very, very well spread out. You could definitely say there's a couple of battle packs amongst the rear of the field, but everyone's very well spread out. We're about 2.5 seconds. And I think that's the kind of time that we're kind of seeing with the dirty air effects that we are seeing from these high downforce cars in these powerful GT500s with the Lexus and Nissan and Hondas really getting all their powers from the winglets, front splitter and rear wing in these 2016 model specs. I mean, it'd be very nice to see it'll be very nice to see a modern GT500 amongst the fields in the main series in 2024, but we'll wait and see. Politically Digital will be able to give us a brand new GT500. If they do that, that would be amazing. And we can have some great main series running in 2024. As we say that, Rose is still holding on to be the fastest Lexus and the highest placed Lexus in third place. Doing a good job. There's only a half-second penalty there for Jahan in third, so he won't lose time to Green. Not too much though. Definitely loses time to Green, and he actually loses ground, unfortunately, to Burke, which I think him as well. He must have served a penalty as well, because the gap between Burke and Jahan was more or less the same. So there you go, 1m4. So he definitely had a penalty next to his name. Just don't know the actual extent of the penalty, unfortunately. So Green on the recovery drive to try and get himself any chance to get on that podium, making a Nissan whitewash on that Watkins Glen podium. Sam with the fastest and the highest placed Honda in fifth place. Then Lamb, Taylor and Crestel inside that top 8. But Burke is having an amazing run amongst the top 5 in the championship. Currently sitting P2 in car 486. But this man here making his debut in Track Stars TS2 touring cars hasn't put a foot wrong. Lost the lead on the opening lap, but he's come through nice and calmly. He's done the job. He's made the moves when he needed to make the moves. And car 222 in Waters is going to be your victor here tonight in race 1 of the Track Stars TS2 touring cars for the New York Sprint. That is Waters' first victory here at Track Stars Racing Series, and that is him sealing main series eligibility here at Track Stars for what could be an exciting year for Waters in TS2 touring cars. Burke holds on to P2. That's his best performance in 2023 in the TS2 touring cars. Jahan holds on to P3 to be the highest placed Lexus. Green in 4th. Sam with the highest placed Honda in 5th. We have Lamb in 6th. Taylor in 7th. Crestel, unfortunately, couldn't claw back that time deficit that he served in his penalty in 8th. Mackenzie, a great performance in 9th. Breeder rounding up the top 10. Churchill in 11th. Loxley in 12th. Hall in 13th. Then we had Van Vuveren in 14th. And Doc for WRT Motorsports rounding up the rear of the field of our 15 competitors. But that is the first victory. You take a victory on your debut and you have yourself a pole position and a clean race there. So the luck of the Irish, even though his flag is from Poland. So maybe someone in the chat has to give me a bit of a saying that I could give for a Polish driver. He's actually funny enough, he's actually a Kiwi-born driver, but actually he actually resides himself in Poland. So maybe either have to be a Kiwi joke or a Polish joke. You have to let me know. Maybe someone in the comments can be creative and give me some sort of ideas if he wins again in race 2. But that is our grid for race 2 here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So this is going to be our grid. We have Waters, who won comfortably over Burke, but Burke really applied the pressure there. He was actually quicker than Waters in that race. So he was the only one of 2 drivers that got themselves in that 60-second barrier in both Burke and Green. And Green with the fastest lap there, unfortunately finishing outside of the podium positionings in 4th place. Sandwith in 5th, Lamb in 6th, Aussie Taylor 7th, Crestel 8th. And then a nice recovery drive there for Mackenzie in 9th. Breeder dropping down a few positions, unfortunately, in 10th place. And Churchill, a nice recovery drive after that lap 1 incident at the inner loop. In 11th place, Loxley, we don't know what happened to him, but something definitely happened on the inner loop, and he's down into 12th. Hall in 13th, Van Vuveren in 14th, and Doc in 15th place. So as we take a quick short break here, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back with you very shortly for the coverage here for race 2 of the TS2 touring car. So stay tuned. Can we see a double victor here tonight for the first time here at Watkins Glen? Or will we see a brand new name take victory in Track Stars TS2? Will we see Burke apply some challenges and apply himself as a contender for victory and try and take that clean sweep away from Waters in car 222? We'll find out very shortly. Until then, grab a drink, grab some food, grab your dinner, and we'll be back with you for some TS2 running in at Watkins Glen very shortly. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the coverage of the TS2 touring cars. I'll be able to take you guys on for a hot lap here at the lovely Watkins Glen, but this time in the 2016 model Lexus RCF GT500. So very different to what we saw in or we could say in the older spec cars in the 2008 models that were demonstrated in the TS3 touring cars. Just be able to have a glimpse of what these cars can do around this circuit and how much of that downforce really kicks in amongst this track, amongst our competitors here, how much of a dirty air can really affect drivers here. So coming around that banking there, the right-hander, then up to down to fourth gear, but we're going to try and see how we go for a good lap. Try and see if we can get a good lap here. We might not be able to get a 60-second lap, but you never know. We'll try. Very tricky. Yeah, no, that's very tricky. It's not easy. It's actually, I thought it was actually a little bit easier on the 2008 car compared to this car. You can just see, you just brake that little bit too late. The car just doesn't turn because the downforce just doesn't kick in. So that's actually something interesting for our drivers to really try and learn. And we saw there with the Lexus drivers, a couple of them really struggled to get that car turned around and turned nicely through that inner loop. There, we haven't seen ourselves a very representative lap time first. It's actually slower than the 2008 Lexus SC430. But there we go. We give it a go. We gave it a shot. That's why I'm not racing tonight. That's why I'm behind the commentary box. But yes, it is a very tricky circuit. These cars are very heavy on the downforce, so these drivers have all of the equipment, they have all the tools, they have all the preparation for some great racing here. We've got ourselves another good 15 laps for this race here at Watkins Glen. And we are very excited to see who can make the challenge towards Waters in first place. He'll be starting off in P1. Then we have Burke in P2. Can he get that Nissan off the line and ahead of Waters going into turn 1? We'll find out very soon. Everyone was well behaved in that first opening sequence of corners, but will they behave in race 2? We'll find out very soon as we're about to go towards the starting procedures here for the last time here for Track Stars TS2 Touring Cars at Watkins Glen for the New York Sprint. I'm your commentator, Nick Patasso. For the last time, it is going to be a Black Flag Racing versus Robosport Racing front row between the Nissans. Who's going to get that jump between those two teams in Waters and Burke? What can Roses do behind in Jahan? It is lights out, green flag racing. A much better start there for Slipstream. In first place, Jahan has gone from third to second. And again, he might be able to challenge Waters going to turn 1. No, he doesn't. So he's actually just pulled back a little bit. Did Jahan in second place there. And we can see there, Sandwith has actually come through very nicely up into P3. So we can see there, Burke has gone well down the order inside P7. So that is a shocking start there for Burke down the order in P7. We have Lamb right behind. He's actually gone up into P7. He's looking to challenge Crestdale for a move going into the inner loop here for the first time. Runs wide, tries to keep the car on the track there. He does it very nicely there, and we can just see there Burke is just tumbling down the order. So from P2 to P9 on the opening lap, this is not what the doctor ordered for Chris Berg, and he's going well down the order. He might lose another position here to Churchill from FR Racing. A little bit of contact made, and we can see there, Churchill just catches the drift there and keeps the car steady. Still holds on to P10, but a very chaotic start here from some of our drivers there. Neon clips the barrier. I think a bit of contact was made between himself and Breeder. And again, he's just tumbling the order as well. But that is a poor start there for Chris Burke in 9th place after starting P2, which is now being occupied by Jahan again, once again, in the WTC Racing Pink 347 for WTC Racing is right behind his good mate in Waters rather. We can see that Sandwith is trying to defend his position. Oh, Burke, we can see Green has gone off. He tried to go for an outside move rather, an ambitious outside move on Sandwith in the inner loop. Unfortunately, didn't pay off for him whatsoever. He drops inside P10. I thought it was outside the top 10. Now moves back up into P9. But that is a costly mistake there for Green there. So whatever happened between those two, it didn't work out, unfortunately. And yet that's the risk that you play going for a move there. We see some more contact there. I just saw a glimpse of Breeder going sideways and drifting around the corner, around turn 7. Really struggled to get that car in the right position. But he's doing the right thing, giving that position back to Van Vooveren, who had no fault in all of this. The Kiwi pit lane driver in car 52 really had no way had to take evasive action, and unfortunately for him, he had no way going through that. And Breeder unfortunately took him out, not on purpose, but just an unlucky passenger for Van Vooveren. But he now loses that position on track to Breeder, who's now back up into 14th place, but not the start that the Robosport Racing drivers wanted. One in P8. Got himself a 1 second penalty there as well. So this is going from bad to worse for Robosport Racing. What was looking as a great race 1 for Burke is now looking to be a horror show in race 2 with a 1 second penalty there. And as well, what has been a great success story for Loxy in 7th place already. So that is a marvellous achievement there, finishing in 12th. In race 1 up into P7. That is an absolute recovery drive and a half there for Loxy. So take a bow for Loxy in car 46, doing a great job. And he's going to try and get himself up inside that top 5 and get himself some main series eligibility. Why not? let's throw out some main series eligibility for all of our TS2 drivers. He only has to make up 2 more positions to get that eligibility. We'll find out very soon at the end of lap 15 if he's inside that top 5. But we can see there Burke is now have to come through this penalty burn zone, and he's going to have to burn this gruesome 1 second penalty that just feels like an age to burn. Will he lose the position to Hall going into turn 7? He has to go around the outside. Burke just backs off a little bit. Looks like Hall just went a little bit wide on the exit of the second last corner, but he doesn't pick up a penalty there, so he gets away with it. Hall into 9th. Burke, unfortunately, from 2nd down to 10th place. That is the biggest loser of the opening opening few laps for Burke, unfortunately. What was a highlight in race 1 and some great driving. Unfortunately, just turned for the worst. Unfortunately. But we have ourselves a top 3 manufacturer fest inside on that podium positioning so far. We have Waters in the Nissan, we have Jahan in the Lexus, and then we have Sandwith making his debut for his new team in FR Racing in 3rd place in the Honda NSX. Wow. I'm still mesmerized on how he can do that, how Sandwith is making that Honda work around this track. A car that is very underpowered, very heavy, and he's still making it work, and it's working wonders for him. Maybe it just suits his driving style, maybe it suits his aggression towards some of the corners, but he's making it work absolutely to his liking. He's in P3. Look, he did make a bit of contact though with Green a couple of laps ago, so maybe that might be a bit of a question mark move between those 2 drivers and what happened. But we'll find out very soon to what actually happened between those 2 drivers at the end of the broadcast. Aussie Taylor's doing a very good job inside the top 5 as well. So Aussie Taylor for WTC Racing, so top 4, so 2 drivers inside the top 4 in Jahan, and Taylor is doing it very nicely, is doing a representative job there, but he just picks up a 1 second penalty there, cutting too much of the inner loop bus stop, and he just picks up 1 second next to his name, unfortunately. As we saw there, a little bit of tyre squealing there for amongst a couple of drivers there. I did think that was Loxley. Yeah, it was. So Loxley's down back into P8. Green's moved up into P7. And this is going to be a nice battle between these 2 fast driver. Green versus Loxley, CP versus Black Flag Racing. Looking very good, very strong. This is going to be a nice, healthy battle between these 2 boys. The 2 Nissans that have to try and get themselves as close as they can towards the 2 Lexus drivers up front in Lamb and Crestdale. Loxley definitely wants to try and get himself into that main series eligibility, but he needs to get past the next 3 drivers to earn that eligibility, but he's got a long way to go. There's a long way to go, so we're not even half race distance yet, and there's still more racing laps to go, as we can see there right behind. Burke is looking to make a move on Hall. He does it very nicely. They're well before the bus stop, and he gets himself back up into P9. That's Chris Burke, but it looks like he's just cut the exit of the inner loop. Will that trigger a penalty next to his name as he kicked up a bit of dirt? No, he gets away with it, so very lucky there for Burke. Up into P9. Hall demoted to P10. Mackenzie in 11th place after finishing P9 in race 1. We have Churchill, who's not having a great debut, unfortunately, so he was looking up pretty nicely in the early stages of the race. Unfortunately, getting in a bit of a war with a couple of drivers. And he's still sitting outside the top 10, unfortunately, for Churchill. Then we have Van Vuveren in 13th, Breeder in 14th, and Doc in 15th place. A much closer field. I will say it is actually a much closer pack compared to what we saw in race 1. So 23 seconds separates the top 15 drivers, with Waters leading the way, and he's actually not really pulling away as much as he would have liked. You can see there, Jahan is really closing up on Waters very nicely in the Lexus, so he's doing a much better job than what I did in the Lexus. He set himself a 1:01 flat, and that's so far the fastest lap of the race for car 347, doing a fantastic job in that pink WTC Racing entry. We had Sandwith holding on to P3, not making any challenges at all on the top 2, and he's got himself well clear of Aussie Taylor in 4th place. So he's got himself a very nice handicap just to really solidify his stance on the championship and really try and put himself up in that high position and really pretty much put one up on Crestdale in 5th place, who could potentially be leading this championship at the end of it. we'll find out in the next few days whether he's taking that championship lead or not. So Taylor in fourth, Cressdale still holding on to P5, but he's got lots of pressure now. He's pretty much the cork in a bottle around here. Oh, contact made between HBR and Green, so something happened between those two drivers. I just caught it in the background there. A little bit of contact made. I think HBR just moved a little bit on Green there. Green goes for the inside sweeping move there. That's a lovely move there by Green. Once you take that inside part of the banking, basically the car just grips around there and you can just hold it flat, more or less flat, until you get to the latter half of the banking there. You can really just you can push the accelerator pedal down and the car will grip thanks to its downforce package. So that's Green up into P6, unfortunately demoting Lamb down into P7, and still Loxy in 8th place with only 6 laps to go to try and get himself inside that top 5. Can he do it? Let me know in the comments, let me know in the grandstand, let me know in the chat if we can see Loxy inside that top 5 here in race 2 of the TS2 touring cars, which is being led by his teammate Waters, well clear of Jahan in 2nd place. As we saw there, we can see there Cressdale's lost position now to Green, so Cressdale demoted down to P6, Green up into P5, so he's inside that top 5 crucially, and we'll probably potentially see Green pull away from the 2 Lexus drivers and potentially pull away from Loxy, and we can see there Loxy has actually lost ground towards those Lexus packs. So we can see there Burke is trying to find some pace through. Bit of contact made there. I thought Burke was going to go inside the barrier there on the right hand side there, but that was a little bit of net code unfortunately there, so he got away with that. He's unfortunately a half second penalty there on the exit of the second last corner. You can do that in NASCAR, but you can't do that on Gran Turismo 7. It picks you up a half second penalty there, so he's got a bit of work to do to try and pull a gap and still keep himself in 8th place ahead of Loxy. Matt Hall doing himself very nicely in 10th place. See Mackenzie still holding on to P11, right behind him a fast charging Churchill with a 1:1.4 as his personal best, compared to Mackenzie's 1:2 flat in 5th place. Oh, in 11th place, sorry. Almost made a mistake there. Let's go on board with the man that is in car 222, leading the way, Waters for Black Flag Racing, as he takes us for a hot lap here on this 3.9 kilometre circuit here at Watkins Glen. So tune up, turn the volume up, grab yourself a drink and enjoy the lap. Very interesting lap there for Waters, as we can see right behind there. Looks like Jahan has lost a lot of time there. Yes, you can see a 1:3 flat on the previous lap, so he definitely must have had to have served a penalty. Did Jahan in the WTC Pink Lexus RCF, so he's really well down the order now. So just like we saw in race 1, drivers trying to close the gap on Waters and keeping that gap pretty stale within that lazy 1.9 to 2.4 seconds, and then all of a sudden we see drivers just making mistakes when they push too hard and just pick up penalties when they shouldn't. So unfortunately for Jahan, loses that position, loses time to Waters in first place, and that's him he now needs to try and solidify P2 and keep that Lexus inside that P2 positioning. But right behind is Sandwith, the fastest and the first placed Honda in third place. So this is going to be a nice little manufacturer photo between Nissan, Lexus and Honda, all making that step onto the podium here for race 2 in round 5 of the TS2 touring cars. Aussie Taylor doing a nice job there, holding on to P4, but he's now coming under the clutches and pressure of Green with 1.5 laps to go. Aussie Taylor needs to do his best to keep that P4, and that'll be a very nice result there for WTC Racing to have both second and fourth at the end of this race. I think he'll still be happy with the top 5 nonetheless if he drops down to P5. But Aussie Taylor doing a very solid job in that car 420 and keeping his championship status alive with this solid performance. But Green is not giving up with a fight whatsoever. He's in P5. He's had main series eligibility at the end of round 1. But he's still looking to claw himself right up that pecking order and really get himself up towards the pecking order in the championship in the latter half of the season. But we are on our final lap here on this 3.9 kilometre circuit that is Watkins Glen. The short layout that we are running, it is fast, it is flowing, it is some great racing amongst our competitors here tonight. We have Waters leading the way with the fastest lap actually being set by him, so he's now back into the 1 minute flats in that 60-second barrier. And the fastest man on the circuit, 7.1 clear of Jahan. No one's been able to put a finger on him. No one's been able to put some pressure on him in this race. He's just gone through the turn 1 and he said, see you later, I am out of here. I'm here to take this clean sweep here and I'm here to make a name for Black Flag Racing as he takes victory in race 2 of the TS2 touring cars here for round 5 of the New York Sprint. That is victory number 2 for race 2 in his second race for car 222. That is Waters taking out the clean sweep here tonight. Roses in Jahan holds on to P2. Sandwith towards the end there managed to close the gap, but not enough. He holds on to P3. Aussie Taylor still holds on to P4. That's a great result for WTC Racing to have second and fourth. And Green rounds up the top 5. Crestdale in 6. Lamb in 7. Chris Burke inside the top 8 after starting P2. So that is not the race that he wanted around here. Unfortunately for him, really struggled tonight in that second race. And then we had Loxley in 9th place, and then rounding up the top 10 is Hall, Mackenzie in 11th, Churchill in 12th, Van Vuveren in 13th, Breeder not having the best run tonight in 14th, and Doc in 15th and last place for WRT Motorsports. But that is a clean sweep and the fastest lap for Waters in first place. So big congratulations to the man in car 222 for Black Flag Racing for putting on a stellar performance, a clinic of a masterclass here at Watkins Glen. What an absolute drive. And definitely, for me, that is definitely a driver of the day for Waters. Makes his debut in TS2 touring cars, brings Black Flag Racing to Watkins Glen for the first time here at Track Stars TS2, puts their authority from the outset, from the get-go, puts it on pole position, drops a few positions, but is able to reclaim them in the first race, and then in race 2, absolutely just drove away with the victory tonight. So 2 for 2, pole position, front row, a fastest lap. What else can you say about this man in Waters that is taking a clean sweep here tonight at Watkins Glen? But so we thought we had drivers coming through thinking they might have a chance of a victory. Maybe Jahan thought he had a chance of a victory, but the one thing he didn't know, Black Flag was coming in and they were going to set themselves a big name here at Track Stars Racing Series. And what a way to do it by taking out a clean sweep and 2 victories tonight. So congratulations to our podium. That is a 3 manufacturer podium in Nissan, Lexus, and Honda taking out that clean sweep on the podium. So well done to our drivers here tonight, and well done to all of our drivers here tonight. We've had ourselves an amazing attendance here at Track Stars Racing Series. We've had 24 registered TS2 drivers race with us tonight in Track Stars Racing Series in the TS2 touring cars for round 5 for the New York Sprint. That is absolutely incredible. We are still having some great numbers amongst our TS2 field. So let's keep them up, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get you involved in racing. If you want to get involved in some racing, join us and follow us on the Facebook channel. Like us on and subscribe on the Track Stars Racing Series YouTube channel. Come join our Discord if you want to put yourselves among this TS2 field and align yourselves with some great teams amongst this pack in TS2 and in the main series. And as well, thank you so much for tuning into this coverage here on the Track Stars Racing Series YouTube channel. It's just been all by myself, but I've had so much fun here tonight. What a race! What a round to be doing sole commentary here at Track Stars, and Watkins Glen delivers some great racing, no matter what, whether it's a short layout or the bootleg. It just produces some magical moments and some great racing, and we saw a great moment there for Waters to pick up a clean sweep. So congratulations to him, congratulations to Black Flag Racing, and a big congratulations to all of our 24 drivers competing here tonight for round 5 of the TS2 Touring Cars. We will see these guys in 2 weeks' time at Laguna Seca, so another leg around the Americas and the US of A, and we go to Laguna Seca for round 6 for the Touring Car Championship in TS2. So thank you so much for your support and for your viewership here on the Track Stars YouTube channel. On behalf of myself, Nick Patasso, thank you so much for what has been an amazing stream and an amazing broadcast in TS2. We'll see you guys, and we'll see these guys in TS2 in 2 weeks' time, but join us next week for Road Atlanta for TS3 Touring Cars and the main series. But for now, it is good night, and I'll see you guys next time.